Fresh off Arsenal defeating Aston Villa 2-0. Mikel Arteta has admitted we need more signings. We're still linked with Nico Williams. Whether that happens or not is anyone's guess. Personally, I'm pessimistic on that. And Kiwior's been linked with clubs in Spain as well as Bologna. People, deluded. I'm back again as usual. Big up yourselves for tuning in and locking in with me. I appreciate you lot support journey to 70k. So don't forget to subscribe, turn on notification bells. Almost lost it there, and the rest of that stuff that us YouTubers say. Now, if I share my screen with you lot and stop the rambling, let's get straight into what Mikel Arteta has said in terms of sound bites after the game and all the latest rumors, news, and talking points. Mikel Arteta hints at next Arsenal target as Merino transfer edges closer. Merino, tongue twister there. Arsenal have signed David Raya and Ricardo Calafiori so far this summer, with Merino poised to become their third arrival in the final week of the summer window. Mikel Arteta has admitted Arsenal is still a little bit short in forward areas ahead of the transfer window closing. As you know, Gabriel Jesus missed out of the Aston Villa game, either on the bench or a potential starter if Mikel Arteta was going to drop Martinelli or Kai Havertz. Lol. And we know on the best of days, if we just take the squad from last season and everyone that's available and was available, you could argue Arsenal needed a striker and a wide forward anyways. Fabio Vieira's putting the final touches to his loan at FC Porto. Emil Smith-Rowe scored his first Fulham goal today, but he's no longer an Arsenal player. Eddie Nketiah played no part against Aston Villa, and it remains to be seen if and when he completes that move to Nottingham Forest, but there is talk of such people. And Nelson's made it clear he wants to leave. Doesn't appear that at this moment in time there's offers, but things can heat up in what's left of the transfer window. So we know we're short up there, really. In 2 games into the season, to have a couple of players injured, Tomiyasu, Gabriel Jesus to name a couple, it isn't looking good where the bodies or the numbers are concerned. We know Mikel Merino's deal is moving ever closer, people. Big up Trossard for coming off the bench and, getting the first goal, as well as Thomas Partey sealing it. The gaffer has said we are really happy with the squad. It's true we had an injury with Gabriel Jesus and we missed him. We're a little bit short, and if we can do something, then we'll do it. Get keyword if. I was watching the games today, and every game is a big fight. The standard of the league has gone to another level again with the level of coaches. We have 2 from 2, and we'll concentrate on Brighton, which it will be a tough game next Saturday, people. He said if everybody's fit, but that's why we need a good availability from everyone. We don't have 23 outfield players, and normally you have to be equipped like that. So that tells us that we've got a small squad, or the squad is too small. Whether we'll be able to say we've got 23 players, I very much doubt so. I think we will end the transfer window with a squad that is short, but if we can get a couple of players in, we might just have enough for our pursuit of winning trophies. We know we're not going to get there. We have to trust some academy players and make sure that we look after the ones that we have to be robust and play a lot of minutes. So far, looking good. Apologies, people. I'm really happy. Can't complain with what he said there. We'll get on to the Trossard stuff in a minute, but for what he said here, we talked about that. The competition is big. We have great players in each position, and they're going to have to accept that. We have a huge season ahead of us, a long one. You need players to impact it. He, in brackets, Trossard, did it last year when he started and when he was a sub. Today, we had to do that, and he's given us a headache now for the weekend against Brighton. To be brutally honest, Leandro Trossard, I know he's a super sub, and I find that disrespectful from Trossard, because he's so much more than that, but you lose a lot. But if it was just on who's deserving their places, I don't think Martinelli was as terrible as people have made out against Wolves and obviously I forgot their name now, the villains Aston Villa, but at the same time, Trossard's doing the business, and he probably deserves to start against his former team, Brighton, where we hope he can strike them where it hurts, people. Big up to them for beating Man Divided. Gyökeres on his future, who, bearing in mind, he scored another hat-trick in the start of the season where he left off last year. You never know what happens. I feel really good at Sporting, I'm sure, but in football, there are things you don't even know. I'm very good here. I'm very happy at Sporting, and I don't have any problems. So he's someone that's continuously been linked with our club. Whether he leaves Sporting Lisbon, I don't know. But 43 goals and 15 assists from 50 games for Sporting is quite the output. And I'm sure a lot of us Arsenal fans would love someone who could do that, people. He's never hid away from the fact that he wouldn't he'd be open to staying. People, he said, I think so. I'll stay here, but you never know what's going to happen. It doesn't just depend on me, but I feel good here. There are things I don't know. Things happen quickly, but I'm not worried about that. I love being here. You'd imagine there's nothing where an Arsenal move is concerned. But yeah, speaking on Arsenal, we have been linked this week with Ademola Lookman. Allegedly, he's reportedly reached a total verbal agreement to join Paris Saint-Germain this summer. The Nigeria international is seeking an Atalanta exit, and PSG are pushing to complete a deal before the summer transfer window ends on the 30th of August. Allegedly, he's already agreed personal terms with Luis Enrique's side, and apparently the Parisians are in direct contact with Atalanta. However, negotiations regarding a permanent move have reportedly stalled, and Arsenal are closely monitoring the situation in the event the deal collapses. The Gunners' interest in Lookman has emerged strongly in recent days, and Italian journalist Alfredo Pedula has reported that Arsenal have even submitted a 50 million euros offer for the former Everton, Fulham and RB Leipzig winger. Now, I'm not discrediting him. I'm sure he's got his sources, but we've yet to see Fabrizio Romano or David Ornstein get wind of that and say we've made an offer. So how far does it go beyond rumours? Apparently, Atalanta are currently asking for around 70 million euros, which I think is overpriced, and Arsenal are now reportedly considering including Jakob Kiwior in a player plus cash swap deal. Now, if we do offer Kiwior, how much do we rate him at? Is it fair to say around 30 odd million quid? So how much is the cash offer? And would Atalanta go for that? I'm assuming they would Kiwior even be open to that? Because he rejected a move to Bologna, who will be playing in the Champions League. I could be wrong, but owing to them winning the Europa League, isn't Atalanta granted a place in the Champions League? Gasperini is obviously a great manager, and they do have to cope with a couple of departures. People potentially Ademola Lookman and Coop Miners who could go to Juventus, but it seems like they're bringing in decent players. Not to mention Kiwior's stock is probably a lot higher in Italy than it is in England, people. But whether he wants to go and do that, I don't know. He was, in relation to Kiwior, on the bench. No, sorry, excluded from the Wolves game in all capacity in the squad. He was on the bench against Aston Villa. I don't know if he was genuinely seen as an option or it's owing to a couple of first-team players being out. Allegedly, Kiwior has multiple suitors in Serie A, including Atalanta. I mean, Lookman did get 17 goals and 10 assists in all comps last season, and he got a hat-trick in the Europa League final, and he's had some good periods, some negative moments, but maybe at 26 years of age with 2 years left on his current deal, maybe, you know, he's at that stage now where he's gone up a level and he's ready to make a move. Really, the next 18 months will be crucial for Atalanta. I personally think they'll get him to sign a new deal if he doesn't leave this summer. Again, this is frozen. Apologies. What's going on here? Okay, we're back. Ademola Lookman and Coop Miners Romano has said we're not in the Atalanta squad for the weekend. Lookman's situation allegedly is being discussed internally, while Coop Miners only wants Juventus. He's waiting on a club decision after a 59 million euros package proposal sent 2 weeks ago. So again, Atalanta have a number of players leaving. Osimhen is set to get offers thrown at him right, left and centre in the final week of the transfer window, with interest from Chelsea, PSG and Arsenal. I must admit, I think everybody's tired of the Osimhen stuff. We all know he's got a release clause of 130 million euros, and he's obviously got a big contract with 11 million euros earned per year. I reckon Chelsea get that one over the line. You can't rule out PSG, you can't rule out Arsenal, but I'm not sure if he's a priority for Arsenal, in the sense that we need to probably get some outgoings. We need to get Mikel Merino in. And I personally think Arsenal will target a versatile wide player versus an out-and-out striker. Although we did try and get Sesko, so you can't rule anything out. I think everybody's tired of speaking about Osimhen. For what it's worth, Napoli have reached an agreement over Lukaku. If they're unable to shift Osimhen, does that put a spanner in the works there? We've gone over what Arteta has said there. We've gone over what Arteta has said there. You know, I try not to miss anything. Big up David Raya, who was a hero. He said, everyone is a hero here because we work together. It's not just me saving the ball. It's Leao scoring, Thomas scoring as well. But of course, it's a crucial moment of the game at 0-0. I was there to save the header. And you definitely was. Big up yourself on that one. Shout out to Ollie Watkins for the miss. Shout out to Saliba for that great slide tackle in the second half, as well as obviously Trossard and Partey and everybody really. Now, we've heard this already, but Fabio Vieira to Porto. Here we go. Deal done for the midfielder to return to Porto on loan from Arsenal. No buy option, as said yesterday. Straight loan with Porto to cover Fabio's salary. It was only going to happen only in the case of Chico Consicaus, I can't pronounce that, exit and goes to Juventus. So one player out from Porto, another in, and we hope that Fabio Vieira can have a great loan spell and salvage something of his Arsenal career. I personally think, you've done yourself there. I don't know what's happened there, but apparently Southampton are in talks with Arsenal over a loan deal for Aaron Ramsdale. The clubs are also discussing potential obligations to buy should Southampton stay up. 3 relegations on your CV is nasty work. Wolves remain interested, and Ramsdale is also on the list of goalkeeping targets at Bournemouth. So Wolves, Southampton, and Bournemouth have been name dropped. We have rejected an offer from Ajax as well. So we hope something can be done around Ramsdale, because he's not really going to get game time at this football club, is he? Going back to Kiwior, DiMarzio has said Bologna want to take Xhaka Kiwior on I can't say that, on a loan, which includes an option to buy. Should Arsenal be open to that deal? The clubs have strong relations after the Ricardo Calafiori transfer earlier this summer, and probably the Tomiyasu deal a couple of summers before. Champions League club ready to snatch Arsenal star as Arteta threatens La Liga side. Again, we've gone over the Bologna stuff with Kiwior already, people. Again, we're still linked with Mr. Garcia, a goalkeeper of Espanyol, but you'd imagine we only get that if and when obviously, Aaron Ramsdale completes that move away from the football club. Romano has spoken on further transfers. In terms of opportunities, I would keep the door open. I don't think it's going to be something very big. I see rumors like Nico Williams. I don't think Arsenal will do something like that. I think they'll decide to do something. It's going to be something for a backup. Still, nothing is imminent. Still, nothing closer. But Arsenal are considering opportunities on the market. So I'd keep a door open for a last-minute chance. I think we all will, people. Big up Emil Smith-Rowe. It's only taken him 2.5 years to get another Premier League goal, and he's done it in front of the Fulham fans. Big up our boy, and we hope it continues there, people. Arteta spoke on the importance of beating Emre. Said, personally, I don't do things personally. I just have the will to win and prepare the team in the best possible way, regardless of who we're playing against. I don't really want to hear that against Chelsea, Spurs, or Man United, though. It's one of the toughest places to go for sure. And they made it difficult. The scoreline, obviously, I'm happy to take the 3 points. The scoreline ultimately does tell the truth, but it doesn't tell the full truth. It doesn't necessarily tell the story. It's just the ending, really. And Aston Villa were very good. They've got a good bunch of players. If the game, our first encounter against them is anything to go by, Unai Emery's men are here to stay and threaten the traditional top 6, really. They've got a good manager, good set of boys. Morgan Rogers ran rings around us. He said it's one of the toughest places to go to for sure. We know that. We've prepared really well to understand what we have to do to go there and win the game. Fair enough. And we did that. We weren't pretty, but yeah, we all know Gabriel Jesus didn't travel with the team and wasn't on the bench. Boy, we need to get some reinforcements, man. Gabriel Jesus, man, you look decent in pre-season, but fitness is an issue. Fitness is probably now the overriding issue with Gabriel Jesus. And you can say what you want about his goal-scoring exploits, but he does make our team stronger when he is fit. But the best trait you could have is being available. That isn't something we've been able to say about Gabriel Jesus since, obviously, he got injured in the World Cup for Brazil, which is a shame. We all know Arsenal are yet to make a concrete move for Nico Williams. As Romano has said, people, we have hope, small hope. Probably blind optimism, really. Apparently, we're still pushing hard to sign him. We've been told that he's going to stay at Bilbao. There isn't too long for them to get a replacement. There's talk of him getting a new deal. He's been given the number 10. I'd imagine he goes to Barcelona next summer, or maybe Barca, on the fact of he didn't want to do it now, they might move away. It's a myth, really and truly, people. But I'd love to be proven wrong and to wake up one day and to know we have obviously signed Nico Williams. Who wouldn't want that, people? Big up David Raya. Obviously, your save was a big moment in the game. Goals changed games, and had Ollie Watkins scored one of his 2 chances in either half, it's a different kind of game. Fortunately for us Arsenal fans, it wasn't that. I know it's a shot from outside the box. I think Gabby gets a nick on it, gets a deflection. I think it hits the ground, and then it goes over me. And I'm already going for the shot. I think I put my knee on the floor. I'm not sure. And I see the ball going towards goal. I tried to get a nick on it, but it hit the bar. And from there, I just remember kind of slow motion, the ball going towards the pitch again. I think everyone did. I just stand up and I see Ollie Watkins with the head. Then I just react to it. The main thing is I got a hand on it to clear it away. That's the most important thing. Big up David Raya, because, you didn't have too much. You had more to do against Aston Villa than against Wolves. But in those 2 games, we've needed our keeper, and you've stood up tall, people. He was asked if it was one of the best saves he's made. 100% the Golden Glove and PFA winner or Team of the Year winner. 100% it's one of your best saves. He said, yeah, I think so. I think it's one of those that the repetition in training, in the training ground where you save and you get up for another ball, is that reaction to come from the floor to get another action. So it's just a flashback from training kind of thing. Wait, wherever it was, pick up yourself, man. Of course, I'm delighted to be able to make that save, especially in a crucial moment. that we were with 0-0. I think that gave us a little bit of push for the team. And not long after, I think we scored. So that was a big moment in the game. It's like a goal, basically. So it's important. And I think for me and I think for the team, you know, and I'm happy you got a clean sheet, because sometimes you put in good performances and you've not got a clean sheet. So it's always lovely, really and truly, to get 3 points, to get a clean sheet, score goals. And crucially, as I said, 6 points, people. The gaffer after the game said, very happy. First of all, a really tough place to come, a great atmosphere of football, a really good team, really well coached, as you'd expect with Emre Day was, with great collective organization and huge individual threat. But we found a way to win, especially because the team, I think, played with a lot of personality and understood the game better and better as the game was going on. Apart from those 10, 12 minutes in the second half when we had to rely on certain individuals, we did that. Like the situation of David, that is an unbelievable save, and we made the changes, the impact that they had. It was tremendous for the team. So when a team now starts to be equipped that way and they start to be able to navigate through different contexts in the match, then it becomes a team that can win in any place. And today we've shown that we won ugly, but we do need to be a bit better going forward. Big up Leandro Trossard. He said first, well, we've gone over that actually, but big up Trossard once again. On efficiency being the difference, 100%. Last year, I think we generated more, obviously because of the context of the game when they scored first. Today, they did something a bit different to what we expected, especially in the first phase of build-up, playing the way they behave. But this is what we have to do. You know, against any formation, any opponent, any behavior, we are finding to be a threat for many areas. And that's a big compliment for the team. Obviously, Trossard would have loved to have started. And the fact that Martinelli, regardless of form, starts ahead of Trossard tells you probably where both teams are seen. So, yeah. Big up, obviously, David Raya. Of course, you know, Aston Villa players are going to be a threat running at us, especially Morgan Rogers, because I know his team lost, but if he watches Match of the Day, he ran rings around Martin Odegaard, Declan Rice, Partey, and the whole team, really and truly, if I'm completely honest. On Gabriel Jesus, he said, unfortunately, on Thursday, at the end of the training session, he felt something in his groin, so we had to assess him and need an MRI scan. Tomorrow or Monday, we will have the results. On the development and dynamism of our midfield three, it's a very important part of the team for us, because the way we have structure is to play through them. Didn't really do that, or I feel personally our defenders were on the ball a bit too long, and if anything, Timber was the one kind of building, playing the inverted role. I do think Martin Odegaard, Declan Rice and Thomas Partey could do a bit better. I think Partey was the best of the midfield three, if I'm honest with you, watching the game twice. He said physically we're still not at our peak and we can still get much better. Definitely Declan Rice looks like he's struggling a bit physically. Partey, we know, needs to ease his way into the season. And you know what, big up Martin Odegaard, and he was involved in one of the goals, but you know, he never really puts in a great performance at Villa Park, man. There's a bit of someone done voodoo to our captain at that ground, man. Odegaard, you should have had your first goal of the season today, but it's all right, man. There's different heroes and protagonists every week. On Declan Rice learning the new role, he's already played huge games and made a big impact in that position. He's so willing because he likes it, and you can tell he enjoys playing there. I hear that, but I think for a minute, could we just have Declan Rice as a 6 and bring in Merino? On whether the physicality of our two centre-backs was a game plan. Like he said there, I was literally about to say, you have no choice. You're playing against Ollie Watkins. If they put the ball in the last lines and you're man-to-man, you better win those duels and be physical, because the ball has to go to the other way. They're really good at that, to be fair. You know, Gabriel, apart from that little mistake where you almost gifted Watkins a goal, I personally think Saliba and Watkins had a good game. You know, I know Watkins never scored. He's the villain, ironically, today. But if he did score those goals, it's a different game. I think it was a good battle between Williams, Saliba and Watkins. And I think I speak for every Arsenal fan, whether we win, lose or draw, to know the whole team, but specifically our centre-backs, whether it's Watkins, Haaland, all of these hitmen in the Prem, that our centre-backs stand up to. It's a long way away from the Mustafis, the Rob Holdings, the Socrates. The list goes on. I don't want to trigger any PTSD. And Nuno Emre, you know, rightly so, man. He said, you know, they competed very well against Arsenal, which they did. Let's not lie. The difference is we were efficient. The performance that Aston Villa put in today, we saw that probably historically at Arsenal, and we probably saw that in the early days of Mikel Arteta, where we play, we compete. Ultimately, we wouldn't take those half chances. The other team would. And whether you play good or bad, I don't think you should always just look at results, because, you know, one of my toughest times on YouTube was actually the manager we're playing against now, Unai Emery, when we went on that unbeaten run. I got a lot of pelters for saying I'm not discrediting our unbeaten run, but like we're making it difficult work, really. And I only really clocked that when we came from behind against Cardiff. So, you know, the game tells the narrative or paints the narrative, but it doesn't always tell the full story. Sometimes you win when you don't necessarily deserve to win. Sometimes you lose when you deserve something more. Sometimes you get a point when you don't deserve anything. Sometimes you deserve more than a point. And 9 times out of 10, typically in the Premier League, you get what you deserve. But we all know football's a funny old game. I'm happy we got 6 points. We've now got 36 more games to go. Definitely we need to do better, because I like the fight and the fact that we could win ugly. But let's be honest, you know, I don't want to really say positives and negatives. The only positives is a couple individuals stood up tall. We got the 3 points and kept a clean sheet. Isolated to that 90 minutes, build up play could be a lot faster. There could be more invention. There could be more intention. I think Havertz was working with scraps. I think Martinelli kind of was, to be fair to him. I think Saka was. I weren't really impressed with our midfield, really. You know, really and truly, I think Saliba and Gabriel did all right. But unless your name is Jurien Timber, David Raya, Trossard off the bench, and big up Partey for scoring, could do a bit more. But it's a team. It don't matter if 3 players played well. It's an 11-man sport, and however many come off the bench, you know. Don't cancel me. You know what I mean about 11-man football is welcome to all. You know, we live in a funny old day, people. But yeah, man, that's what we've seen in relation to Gyökeres, Nico Williams, Osimhen, Fabio Vieira, Mikel Arteta, in relation to, obviously, if we're trying to act in the market. We've gone over Gabriel Jesus' injury. Let me know your thoughts on everything I've discussed here. As usual, it's a pleasure to do live streams and be here with you lot all the time, people. It honestly is a pleasure. Please help me on my journey to 70k. Make sure you're following my second channel, DG Sports Views. And on that note, I don't want to bore up any more of your time. Big up you lot. Peace.